Hi, this graphic process presentation is brought to you by Calvin Musikar. The topic is surface equivalence in printmaking and photography, an analysis of selected artworks by acclaimed South African artists. Equivalent photos are produced using the same amount of light. Large formats have the capability of collecting more light. Same perspective, same framing angular field of view. Equivalent is only relevant when comparing different formats. It is also relevant when comparing a single exposure to a multiple exposure combined by a measure. Images of photographs were taken by Alfred Stein, who took these photos as a rebellion that the subject is what makes the photos interesting and not the photographer. The photos at the time were deemed groundbreaking, although they might seem disjointed and unable to read and understand now, as one would just consider them as photographs of clouds. This also speaks volume to how Zanele takes her photos. One might see them as documentation of people in years to come. This is why she has done them for more than 10 years now, to cement the idea that it is not only documentation, and some of the people in the photos, as she has mentioned, are victims of gender-based violence. So Alfred photos remain relevant today, that the photographer or documenter is as important as the photo and is one giving meaning and context to the photo. The photos have no horizon, which deems them impossible to read, frame, or mount, as one wouldn't know which one is or where the horizon lies, leaving room for people to ask the photographer of some of Alfred Stein's artworks that have no horizon. William Kentridge is a South African artist known for his charcoal drawings, prints, and animation made out of the very same drawings. The Phillips room is derived from a Kentridge charcoal drawing that is mounted on a wall. He then put still life on the floor and he took a picture, making it one artwork. The picture was transferred on a copper plate in printmaking terms called intaglio. The image is transferred using an engraving tool or etching tool of which you draw out the harsh lines that the tool engraves marks on the plate. To achieve the gray tones, you then apply acquaintant, which is a powdery substance that you heat with a heat gun under the plate to make it stick. You then put it in a salt bath or acid bath. The more acquaintant grains you have and the amount of time left on the bath, the more darker the tones you will have. The next video shows how an edition or a master is printed courtesy of David Cruz Studios. The artwork being printed is the Philips Room. This is one of William Kentridge's artworks. On the artwork, I have marked or circled in red. With this, I indicate the number of editions or equivalents you will find of the very same artwork, which is 50 for this print. I have also attached a template of how a print is to be marked or labeled. When we talk about surface equivalence in printmaking, the editions must be the same as the master. With this, take the idea of having a mold for a sculpture piece. The pieces that come out of that mold are to be exact. This is the very same principle applied when producing these prints. Zanele Moholi is a South African artist based in Johannesburg and was born in 1972. A visual artist that works with photography, video and installation art. Her work focuses on race, gender and sexuality with a body of work looking at black lesbians, gays, transgender and intersex individuals. Moholi researches and documents stories of hate crimes that affect LGBTQI+ community in hopes to bring the idea of corrective rape as well as HIV and AIDS to the fore. When we look at the artworks, the surface is equivalent in terms of sizes of the pictures, the light used, a central subject or being a focal point of the artwork, whilst the background is neutralized in order not to overpower the focal point. Your eyes remain centralized, the tones used are equal, of which no one picture stands out more than the others. The gray tones, black tones, and even the arrangement of the photos give it a feel that it is one artwork instead of single artworks that stand on their own. Here we can see the rearrangement of images, yet the tones remain the same. This cements what I was talking about in the previous slide. The tones remain the same. With this also she comments on no one within the LGBTQI+ community being greater or better than the other one, including herself. Every individual is documented in their respective environment, but she pushes the idea of sameness. We are different in our own right, in terms of body, height, looks, problems, but yet we remain the same. As the image size or border remain the same in the images before you, I have indicated this with a red mark running through the images. The technological age has an advantage, especially in relation to artists. They can be able to speak to the audience about their artworks and not be taken out of context. But one must never forget the death of an author, a postmodern thought. Here Zanella speaks about her
Hi, my name is Zanele Moholi, and you are here with me at Open Eye Gallery, where Faces and Phases, which is part of Vugani Rise, is on show. Thanks to the organization and Homotopia for giving us this opportunity to shine at Liverpool. This series was started in 2006, and in 2016 will mark exactly 10 years since I started working on this portraiture series. And it features mainly people who identify as Black lesbians and also transgender persons, friends and friends of friends, as a way in which we emphasize the need for Black LGBTI visibility in spaces where we live, and also to ensure that we have a visual history of Black LGBTI people in South Africa and beyond South African borders. A lot of people are fleeing their countries of origin simply because of homophobia, of queerphobia, of transphobia, and all the phobias that are there to be, including xenophobia and racism. So this project is aimed at sharing with the viewer, at sharing with your own people here, to say that actually it is not an African to be a homosexual person. It is not an African to be a transgender person. It's not an African to identify as a queer being. These beautiful beings who identify like me, speaking from inside out, not the other way around, this is how I wanted to share with any person who cares to know that there are many of us, and we are still pushing the agenda in so many ways that we know how to. And visual become that major document that helps you as the viewer to memorize, take something away at home, remember what you have seen when you came into this space or in spaces like this, which are not often open to all of us. So this is Lerato Dumse, who has her own life, who is a professional, who's a journalist, who's a graduate. I just want to say to somebody, in as much as you might be confronted by all of these images, and you get to see masses of us, because we are many. And then this is Ayanda Magoloza, whose wedding is upstairs. The image is taken in 2013, and then that was her face. And when you go towards the end, you see Ayanda in 2011. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about phases, because what you were yesterday and what you are today is completely different. Ayanda identifies as a Black lesbian mother, and also she's married to someone. We documented her wedding in 2013 on the 9th of November, and her wedding video is shown upstairs. The whole show is called Vugani Rise. Vugani is a Zulu word which means rise, and it means that it's not over yet for many LGBTI people around the world. It means that we still need to push the agenda and rise above, regardless of the challenges that we face daily. People keep on saying, we are tolerating you. I don't want to be tolerated. I want to be recognized and be respected. This is my life. This is about our lives. So as human beings, we have a responsibility. So what I took on as a human being, as an activist who used visuals to articulate my daily issues, was to document. So documenting like how you're doing now is the key. Nobody will get to understand or see us and feel us if we do not share a piece of us. And they say what you don't see on TV, that speaks to you, you produce it. If you don't see your Black face in any cover of any magazine, you produce it. And it is exactly what I'm doing here. The image was taken in August 2014. We just came back from a funeral of a young person who was brutally murdered in Ventersdorp Township. And you could see here that she was born in 1990, and then she was murdered in 2014. Over the past few years, a lot of LGBTI individuals were brutally murdered simply because of expressing gender, simply because of expressing sexual orientation. Women have been curatively raped, which is a wrong term used by perpetrators, assuming that by raping a lesbian, she'd become a straight woman. We can't say that as producers or knowledge producers, we limited to a certain kind of document. I'm not producing fine art. I'm using visuals to articulate that absence and lack of something which has to do with our lives. So this particular photo helps us to remember Disebo Makau. Almost every girl in this series have won a beauty pageant where feminine gay boys and trans women enter to showcase their talent, to express their beauty, and also to say to the homophobe, we are bigger than what you think we are. So I treat each and every beauty queen, each and every beautiful girl as a cultural activist, because they're pushing culture and speaks to this particular activism. And we should, or they should, live this life beyond just pride, because pride only happens once a year. We need a number of spaces where we could articulate our issues for every living human being to get the grip that we are here and we are part and parcel of any form of your democracies. And if we have to rewrite and re-articulate and represent ourselves in any historical document, visuals will be another tool. Thank you.
Even in Somnyama Ngonyama, Hail the Dark Lioness, the theme still resonates, where the background is blurred out and focal point is on the foreground where the figures stand. The stance of greys and blacks still is evident. The images are seen to be taken in different times and different places, yet the focal point and the focus of the camera remains the same. We have reached the end of our discussion.